What's good, YouTube, and welcome to another KaibaHacksDartz Yu-Gi-Oh video. Today, we're here with another deck list, deck profile, deck update, and this is our Arcana Knights deck for February 2025. And, we've done this deck once, maybe twice before, I can't remember, but we've got some updates for it. It's real saucy, and you guys seem to love this deck, so I thought I'd come back with it. Of course, we got 3 King's Knight. When this card is normal summoned, if you control Queen's Knight, you can special summon 1 Jack's Knight from your deck. So some pretty saucy stuff, of course. That's what the deck revolves around, is these 3 knights and all the tech that's come out over the years for them. So we got the 3 Queen's Knight, our other level 4, decent. And then we also have 3 of the Jack's Knight. It is recommended you maybe take it down to 2. I run it at 3. I like to live on the edge. It is what it is. We'll stack these boys up, move them to the side, go through the rest of the deck. Of course, next here we got an absolute warrior classic, 3 Marauding Captain. There's lots of different plays and tech you can use in this deck to bring out more warrior monsters or, just more monsters in general for plays. But it is, this monster is face up on the field. Your opponent cannot select another warrior-type monster on your side of the field as an attack target. And when this monster is normal summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower monster from your hand. So this obviously works great with the King's Knight and, Queen's Knight plays for maybe getting out a bit more sauce and or just getting some more stuff on the field for extra deck plays or whatever. But of course, that can be traded out for some stuff, and it is a card, I'm trying to work around a bit. In lieu of that, you could always use Colonel on the C string, very similar tech. Next, for some of the beef up, we got 2 of the Imperial Bower, a very great little tech piece for the deck. It is, if you control no other monsters, you can tribute this card, and take 2 different monsters from your deck among Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and or Jack's Knight, and either add them to your hand or special summon each monster. You can only use this effect of Imperial Bower once per turn. So you can tech this up to 3, you can, bring it down or not. But it is a pretty powerful little sauce for getting those cards out or in your hand for plays. Next, we got 2 of the Arcana Triumph Joker. A nice little boss piece for the deck that is more main deck sauce, obviously. It is, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send 1 Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight from your hand and or face-up monster zone to the graveyard and special summon this card. This card gains 500 times the attack number, or 500 times the number, 500 attack times the combined number of cards in both players' hands. Sorry, just having a stroke. And you could discard 1 card and destroy all face-up cards on your opponent's controls with the same type monster spell or trap as the discarded card. And notice you can do that more than once, so you could just go through your hand if you really wanted to. But it is quite a little saucy card, and of course it could be brought up to some pretty decent attack if you have a lot of cards in your hand, as well as them. Plus, there's some other ways to bring it out in the deck. Moving on, for some other tech, we got just Spell Striker. Just a nice little way to get out some more warriors again for basically free. It is, you can special summon this card from your hand by banishing 1 spell card from your graveyard, and this card can attack directly. You take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. So it can be a pretty techie little freebie, and or just, maybe you're attacking in for a little bit of damage direct. Next, we threw in 1 Royal Straight Slasher. You could bring it up a bit more. You could kind of make the deck more focused around him just because of his effect. But he cannot be normal summon / set, must be special summoned with Royal Straight, which we'll get into a little bit later. But if you have all of Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight in your graveyard, you can send 5 monsters with different levels of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from your hand and or deck to the graveyard. And if you do, destroy all cards your opponent controls. When this card is destroyed by battle, you can target up to 3 light warrior-type monsters in your graveyard and special summon them. So, of course, a lot of ways to bring out all the main deck sauce, plus, Arcana Joker, or Arcana Triumph Joker, sorry. And you can only use each effect of Royal Straight Slasher once per turn. So he's a nice little boss monster. Like I said, you can tech him up a bit more. But I just run him at 1 for now until I've, studied his plays a bit more. And of course, we have some of the sauce, like the Spell Strikers work for the level 3 of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The 5 and the 4, obviously, we have sauce in there as the main stuff. But for level warrior we have here, he is, a level 3 in hand or in deck, but you could get him to a level 2 on the field and some different sauce. Plus, he's just another way to bring out monsters. Something we'll probably trade out in the future, but another warrior we can get out. Same with Card Breaker. Something we'll probably switch out for more sauce in the future, just maybe with a little bit more attack or some usability, but he is a light monster, so it kind of fits in. It is cannot be normal summoned or set, and this card can only be special summoned in face-up attack position by sending 1 card from your spell and trap card zone to the graveyard. So, something, like I said, we're going to work around in the future, but is some sauce that works. Lastly, to fit in with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of the Royal Straight Slasher, we have the Fire Flint Lady, a fire warrior monster, so it fits in decent too with some of the plays. And it's if you control a warrior monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can send this card from the field to the graveyard, special summon 1 level 4 lower, warrior monster from your hand, and if you do, your opponent cannot target it with card effects this turn. You only use this effect once per turn. So, presumably I just kind of want it in the deck for now, if I teched up the numbers a bit more, which I will in the future probably. But I just want it in the deck, so you could use it with the Royal Straight Slasher, but if it gets in your hand, you can obviously use it for some plays. That wraps up the monsters. Like I said, lots of sauce in there to work with, and lots of ideas I'm playing around with. For the spells, we have 3 Unexpected Die. If you control no monsters, special summon 1 level 4 or lower normal monster from the deck. Great way to continue just kind of base knight plays. Queen plays, Jack, King. Next, we got 2 Double Summon. Just a great way to, obviously, get more monsters out. Can be teched out for some other stuff. Next, we are running 2 Face Card Fusion, a beautiful little card for the deck that could be brought up as well. Fusion summon 1 Light Warrior Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. And if you control Queen's Knight, a King's Knight, or a Jack's Knight, you can use 1 monster from your deck as fusion material. You can only activate 1 Face Card Fusion per turn. So it can be a pretty techy little card for, of course, their extra deck monsters, and there's some other ones out there that it works with as well. Next, we got 2 Royal Straight. This is what you use to summon the Royal Straight Slasher, but it can be used to summon a bunch of other stuff, plus it's quick play, so it's a great little card. It is send 1 Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight from your hand or face-up monster zones to the graveyard, then special summon 1 monster from your hand, deck, or extra deck, or graveyard that mentions all of them. Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight. So, of course, this lets us get into the Slasher, the Triumph Joker, the extra deck sauce, lets us get them out of the graveyard. Basically, all the boss tech this lets us get into, so it can be brought up even more. And it can be done on their turn, so if you could just have some extra sauce to the side, and then decide to go into something that lists all 3. Next, we have just 1 Joker Straight. Discard 1 card and special summon 1 Queen's Knight from your deck. Add 1 King's Knight or Jack's Knight from deck to hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 monster. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except light warrior monsters. And during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 light warrior monster in your graveyard and shuffle it into the deck. And if you do, add this card to your hand. So it is a pretty decent little card because obviously you're going to get that Queen's Knight out. Then you're going to get probably King's Knight to your hand, so you can normal summon that King's Knight with the effect, then just get a Jack's Knight from, that effect. So there's a lot of tech there. Of course, we had to have a reinforcement of the army, some great sauce to start off your plays or, kind of continue them. Then we got the Warrior Returning Alive, another great way to just continue sauce to get, maybe a Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or whatever back to your hand to reuse it. Monster Reborn, pretty self-explanatory. And then we have a Pot of Avarice for some also, just recycle power, plus, draw. Lastly, for the traps, not too much sauce. We just have 2 compulses, a little bit of removal. Obviously, you could throw in a bit more spell and trap removal that's a bit more focused, but there is a lot of that just in terms of the cards themselves. Next, we got Joker's Wild. Just one of these. During the main or battle phase, send 1 spell from the deck to the graveyard that specifically lists all of Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight, and this effect becomes that spell's effect. When this card is activated, during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 light warrior monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. So, it basically can become any of our, knight-related cards. Queen, King, Knight related cards. Court of Cards, we have 1 of as well. If you control no monsters or only Queen's Knight, a King's Knight, and or Jack's Knight, you can special summon 1 of them from your hand or graveyard, and banish up to 1 each Queen, King, and Jack and or Jack from your hand and or graveyard, and draw the same number of cards you banished. You can only use 1 Court of Cards effect per turn, and only once that turn, sorry. So it is a little bit of a weird card, but it is continuous, and, it's some sauce, so I do have 1 of it in there. Then we threw in a Rivalry of Warlords, all kinds of warrior sauce. Might as well keep it like that. Moving to the extra deck, we have 2 Arcana Extra Joker. All these could be brought up to 3, which I do have copies of, but I just kind of left it open-ended. Arcana Extra Joker, 3 more warrior monsters with different names, so great sauce. And of course, if you really wanted to, you could use Royal Straight to summon them. Once per turn, when a spell/trap card or a monster effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field, or a monster this card points to, quick effect, you can discard the same type of card, monster, spell, or trap, to negate the activation. A lot of them have that same sauce of same type kind of destruction or negation. And when this link summon card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 level 4 warrior normal monster from your deck. Then if you do, add 1 level 4 warrior monster from your deck to your hand. So, lots of sauce there. Pretty good. Moving on, we got a Decode Talker. Pretty self-explanatory, just some decent sauce. Something I threw in that I thought would be fun is the Imperial Princess Quinquery. 2 level 5 monsters, so I figured you maybe clear it 2 Jacks for this. You can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 level 5 monster in either graveyard, and special summon it to either field. If a face-up level 5 monster you control is destroyed by battle, or leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, while you control this monster, you can add to your hand or special summon 1 level 5 monster from your deck. So I figured it was just some weird kind of Jack tech. Plus, presumably by how it works, you could special summon your Jack to their field, and then you could just attack it or something with something else. Who knows? Lots of plays there. Threw in a Castell for, level 4 tech and just, destruction. Next, for fusion, we got 2 of the Arcana Knight Joker. Something else you could play around with. But it is a fusion of Queen, Jack, and King's Knight. And a fusion summon this card can only be done with the above materials. Once per turn, when a spell/trap card or monster effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field, quick effect, you can discard the same type to negate that effect. And of course, you can go into it with Royal Straight. Lastly, we just have the Guilty Gearfried, the Magical Steel Knight. It is 2 more warrior monsters with different attributes. So this is where, some of the weirder sauce comes in, like the Fire Flint Lady, stuff like that. But it is once per turn when a card effect is activated that targets this card. Quick effect, you can negate that effect, and if you do, destroy 1 card on the field. And if this card was fusion summoned using only monsters on the field as material, it can make a second attack during each battle phase. Once per turn, if this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation quick effect, you can banish 1 spell from your graveyard. This card gains attack equal to half its current defense until the end of this turn. So he's just a real techie little piece. I'd recommend even getting more of him, to be honest, because he just fits so well with the strats. But that's all I got so far for the deck. Like usual, it's still a work in progress. So if there's anything you think I missed or numbers I could change out or work with, let me know in the comments. I'm always open to ideas and criticisms. But other than that, make sure to check out my other deck lists. I do this pretty often. So, of all kinds of, closer to meta stuff, gimmicky stuff, all kinds of different fun ideas, stuff like that. Other Yu-Gi-Oh content like DIY projects, pack openings, deck openings, reviews, stuff like that. So make sure to check out all that content. And otherwise, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that little notification bell so you know when future stuff is hitting the channel. And other than that, thanks for watching. Peace.